During our today's webinar, we are going to talk about techniques on setting achievable goals for the team and how to inspire and energize people in your team. Probably, as you know, this is the second part of the webinar on team coaching. The first part can be seen on this link. It is the shortened link. You can go to this link and see the first part of this webinar. During the first part of this webinar, we talked about being a coach, what it is meant, creating trust and collaboration, and increasing level of responsibility. So now we have two learning objectives to focus on, is setting achievable goals and inspiring and energizing. As for the rest, you can find it on this link. I would like firstly to go through the objectives that were discussed during the previous webinar, just in a very short manner. One slide that I wish to show you is a dialogue model. It is very essential for the coaching in case you decided to coach someone, some team member or your manager or maybe your employee. It is necessary to make sure that you have enough safety within your coaching process, because if there is no enough safety, people will not be able to contribute in the common bank of opinions. But what they will do, they will try to avoid conflict or opposite, command and start demonstrating command and control. It will mean that they can become aggressive or keep silence. It is both both modes of dysfunctional behavior. So in order to do effective coaching with your team members, you need to make sure that there is enough safety in your dialogue. In other words, that they trust you and they can speak to you openly. From time to time, I am also going to look through the questions that you write to me in questions tab and will try to answer. If I will not be able to answer all of them, I will make a recording where I will be answering the questions and will share this recording with you together with the recording of the webinar itself. Where there is a question, where is the status ICP team coaching which you get recently? Where is the status ICP team coaching which you get recently? I'm not sure about the question that I'm getting it, but as for my education in team coaching in general, I have a diploma of Ericsson International Institute, and it's about general my coaching educational background, and also I have a degree of agile team coaching that I got during a recent training in Netherlands by Michael Spade. So let's go further and look through the techniques for team goals and results, for team goals setting. In order to set up effective goals for the teams, and in order to make the team to follow the goals that you set up, you need to make sure that you understand yourself and able to communicate to the team their current state that you have now on the project, for instance, the desired state that you wish to have, and transition plan. For instance, the current state on the project may be unclear goal, unclear roles and responsibilities. It can happen that people will not sure what they need to do, what their manager would like them to do. They're probably not sure what is expected from them from the client side. And there can be some gray zones on your project about roles and responsibilities. Again, I'm showing how to use these techniques on clarifying roles and responsibilities on the project, but you can do it for any other cases that you need. The main idea of this technique is to define what you are going to achieve. It is the desired state. Which is your current state? What is your current location from which you are starting to approach the desired state? And what will be your transition plan? So, if roles and responsibilities are unclear on your current project, How you know about it? What you see, visual, what you hear, audio, and how do you feel on your project, kinesthetical. Kinesthetical signals, what do you have on your current project? For instance, you can see that people are not sure that Jira tasks are not assigned to the correct people. Probably there is some misunderstanding about on what stage which tasks should be assigned to someone. So there can be problems about this. You can also hear that during calls with the client, people are keeping silent and can't answer the questions of the client. So maybe they don't understand that the question actually is addressed to him or her. So I'm describing now the current state of unclear situation about roles and responsibilities on the project and how people feel in this state. Probably they feel frustrated because they would like to do their job, but they not sure that what exactly they should do. There can be some context around this unclear situation of roles and responsibilities. For instance, the context will be the following: that the team is newly formed, so there is some history around it, around or before this situation. That the team is newly formed, maybe it can be the reason why the roles and responsibilities are not clear. Or maybe a product owner has changed on the team, or maybe new management came to the team from the client side. What is the secondary benefit, you should ask your team and yourself, from this unclarity about roles and responsibilities? So what people get when the roles and responsibilities are not clear? Probably some people can do less job because it is not obvious who should do what. So some people came home earlier than other people because again it is not sure about the working hours. There is no agreements about work hours. So there can be some secondary benefit because mess and cares can help some people to skip their job duties. So you should also ask what is the secondary benefit about unclear goals and responsibilities, or about any situation that you have now. You should also list the right solutions. For instance, maybe there were some workshops where team members tried already to define roles and responsibilities for the team members, or maybe the manager provided some list of job duties to the team members, but it didn't work. But you should still list what you already tried about your current state in order to make it desired state. So we have described current state for now. And going to the desired state. So what we would like to have instead of unclear roles and responsibilities. What we would like to see, to hear, and to feel. So we would like to see, for instance, that all Jira tasks are assigned to correct people and there is no mess in Jira, that everything is clear in Jira. So we are going to use a Jira as our visual radiator of clarity about goals and responsibility. We also would like to hear that on calls with the client, people are able to answer to the questions from the client. And there is no silence on calls. When the question is asked, somebody can answer it. How we would like people feel on the project? We would like people feel inspired and understandable of what is going on. If anybody on the project is asked about some meeting purpose or maybe some task, the person is able to explain what is the purpose of this meeting they're invited to, what is the reason they're doing this or that task. People know what their team members do. So it's not only I know my duties, but I know what is manager engaged in, what is our QA engineers are doing, what is the web designer role on our particular project, what is his or her duties. So there is clarity about it. What context we would like to live in. We would like to make our team effective and full functional. So we would like probably to define some metrics for ourselves that we are going to achieve and move to these metrics step by step. And we're going to update and revise actual state of this metrics. We would like to make sure that metrics are still relevant for our team. It can be the context that we would like to live in when our goals and responsibilities are clear. Also, the result of this well-designed goal or well-designed result should be communicated in positive statement. You should not say what you don't want, just say what you want. For instance, you don't want to have unclear goals and responsibilities. It's incorrect way to formulate their well-designed result. The good way is to formulate it as a positive statement. It's like, we would like to have clear goals and responsibilities on our project. It's very easy. Just don't use no statement. No statement. Make sure that the desired state is realistic and relevant. You should probably ask all your team members about this problem. Sometimes people are coming to me like Scrum Masters and saying, our team is not going to retrospectives, or our team don't want to have retrospectives. And I can ask them, okay, what is the problem about it? Why it is relevant on this state of the project that the team attend retrospectives? So don't do exercises that you don't understand. Just understand the purpose of it, understand the relevancy of it for your team member. So why you need clear goals and responsibilities on your project. You should also make sure that this desired state is eco-friendly to everybody. It means no harm to anybody will be made if this desired state will be achieved. So just make sure that your goal or your result is eco-friendly. When you define current state for your team and desired state for your team, it can be also like not only roles and responsibilities. For instance, you would like to build trust in your team, and you have some current state when there is very little trust between team members, and you would like to go to desired state when everybody is trustful to anybody in your team. So it can be also formulate this well-designed result in such a way. When you define current and desired state, you're going to transition plan. You see what challenges you have on your way. For instance, as in our case about roles and responsibilities, you see that it will be very difficult for you to communicate with your product owner about his or her goals and responsibility. It can be a challenge because this person is very busy all the time, and you hardly can have more than one meeting per week with this person. So you expect there will be some problems about involving this person into roles and responsibilities discussion. So you're enumerating what challenges you have. Maybe you will not be supported by your management. Maybe you will see that some team members will not be willingly sharing their thoughts and opinions about their roles and responsibilities in the team. You can also define the resources that will help you to come from current state to desired state. Such resources as people, maybe some people will support your idea. You can also define here resources like budget for team building activities, because it can also help you to come from current to desired state. You can also define here time as a resource. If you really have time to build your roles and responsibilities roadmap and to make your team to understand their roles and responsibilities. So time can be also a resource. So what challenges you have on your way from current to desired state? What resources you have from moving from current state to desired state? And what will be your first step or first steps? For instance, again, you're going to, on the next retrospective, you're going to notify your team members that you're not quite sure about your role and responsibility on the project, and it will be the first step in this discussion. Or maybe you would like to first discuss this issue with your management, and you're going to set up a meeting, one-to-one meeting with your manager and discuss this issue with him or her. So the first step is essential. You can write down also the next steps, but in this model you need at least identify your first step from current state to desired state. That is all about this technique for goal setting for your team members and for yourself personally. The next technique which can help you to define clear goals is called Cartesian coordinates. Sometimes when someone is telling us that something is necessary, for instance, that this functionality should be provided by the end of May, the release date should be by the end of May or by October, we just start doing it, start doing something to achieve this goal, but not asking why it is necessary, what will happen if we will not provide it in the defined date, what will happen if we provide it. So what is the benefits of it? So we don't question the assumption, and in this technique we can help you to question the relevance of your goal. You can ask, what will happen if we provide the current scope by October? What will happen? Probably you will get the extension of the contract, or your team, or you will be added more team members. So it will be like project extension general. So what will happen if you provide this? Or maybe there will be some positive feedback on the revenue. You're defining it, all the possible answers to this question, what will happen. Here you have example how to use this technique for your personal use, when you would like to do it for yourself only, not for your team members. Because most of the coaching techniques are applicable both to yourself personally and to other people who you would like to coach. But before coaching anybody, just make sure that you're able to coach yourself, that you have enough self-awareness and self-management to use this technique on yourself. So for decision making, again, and for goal setting, this technique can work to explore the goal or the decision from different points of view. Again, what will happen if you not provide the defined scope in the defined date by October? What will happen if you don't do this? Probably, like, your management will be unhappy, but you should define what exactly you meant by unhappiness. Maybe there will be some reduction of the team because of this. Something will happen and you can investigate it. What will not happen if you do this? What will not happen if you provide the defined scope by October? Maybe some team members will not have vacations during the summer. So there is some risks that people will be tired because they don't have these vacations during summer, because you think that providing this scope by October is a really tough task. It needs all team members to stay at work and don't have vacations, and maybe it will have some negative impact afterwards. Sorry. And the last question that you can ask about your goal is, what will not happen if you don't do it? What will not happen if you don't provide your scope by October? Probably you will not get some bonus. So maybe something else will not happen. You writing down each question should actually have numerous answers. Like, each question can have like 5 or 6 answers. You can work together with your team to explore the situation, to explore some critical questions of your projects here. Maybe you can do it on retrospectives when you are defining action items for your team. You can also use these questions, why this action item is actually relevant for the current situation. You can explore it using these 4 questions. You define all answers. There can be, again, lots of answers to each question. And then you look through all of these answers and identify the answers that are really have a big impact on your team. You don't base your decision, don't base your goal setting on the answer, but you are looking through all of them and defining really critical answers for your team. And then probably you can do pro-con analysis. When on one hand, on one side of a flip chart, you are writing down the pro for the decision or for the goal, and on the other side, you can write the cons, what is against this decision and what is for this decision, like benefits and disadvantages for the decision or the goal. But this technique, Cartesian coordinates, can help you to investigate in details these pro and con ideas. We are moving next to the next technique. I would like to suggest you for your goal settings for yourself and for your team to use this checklist. It consists of 6 items. The first item, just identify what you are going to, why you're going to achieve this goal, what for it is necessary, what for you need to define to implement this scope, what for you need, for instance, to take Scrum Master responsibilities on your project, or what for you need to make some replacements on the project if you're a manager. The next item is area of influence. In coaching, it is recommended that the goals that you are setting are completely in your control. The area of responsibility is inside you. You can influence your goals. You can influence your goals achievement. If there is too much outside of it, if you rely on other people in your goal achievement and you can't actually influence them or your goal will probably fail. So in coaching, it is recommended, and we coach as coaches, we coach people who are able to take a full control on the goals they're setting. Again, in retrospective, during retrospectives, if your team members are usually identifying action items that are outside of their control, they will probably not be able to achieve it and will become demotivated because of it. Just make sure that during retrospective or lessons learned sessions, you're identifying action items of improvement that are inside control of your team or your own. Also, make sure that your goals are formulated in SMART format. It means that your goal is specific. How you're going to check that your roles and responsibilities are become clear in your team. Your goal is specific, like we will have correct information in Jira and we will have all questions answered during calls with the client. Your goal should be specific. Also, your goal should be measurable, how you're going to measure it, the measurable criteria. You should make sure that your goal is achievable, that all team members are saying that, okay, it is possible. We really can do this. So we can achieve it. The goal is relevant. Relevancy is about necessity to do it in this particular moment. Why it is necessary to set up this goal today. And it is time bound or time boxed. You know during which time you're going to move to this goal, and after this you should measure whether you achieve it or not. First, you set up some criteria that will identify that your goal is achieved, and afterwards, when the time is passed, for instance, you defined 1 month for the team members to become familiar with their roles and responsibilities. And after 1 month, you're going to check how you achieve this goal. Afterwards, you can check that your goal is eco-friendly. It means no harm, again, to anybody in the team. And also you can scale your goal. For instance, you're first targeting that roles and responsibilities becomes clear within your Scrum team or within your project team. And it can be like a goal for 8. And now you're on 5 or on 6. For instance, you're on 5 with your roles and responsibilities. You should define what 5 means for your team. Maybe something is clear. Maybe some team members know their roles and responsibilities, but they're not sure about other team members' roles and responsibilities. And to move from 5 to 8, you should go these 3 steps. So what will be the 6th for your team? Maybe your team members become more familiar with other team members' roles and responsibilities. What will be the 7th then? Maybe your roles and responsibilities will be written down somewhere. Maybe, again, some ground rules will be defined and some workflows and communication flows will be altogether created. not created by management and said to the team, just do this, but it will be a team artifact, a team output. So you can also define your goals for 9 and 10, for instance, to define goals and responsibilities on the program level, and maybe 10 can be to define roles responsibilities on the company level. So you are scaling your goal. You see where you are now and where you're approaching and what is actually even further, what next steps you can take. For instance, for yourself, how you can use it. You would like to grow in your career, and you see that now you're on 7 and you're project manager, and you would like to get a senior project manager position, and it is 8. And what will be 9, like program manager, and what will be 10, like maybe some managing director position. And after you're defining all your goals, you're also adding here the steps, how you're going to achieve it, how you're going to achieve the 7, how do you're going to achieve 8, what exactly you need to do to come from 5 to 10 in our case with the team. When you defined the steps, and actually when you defined any action items after your meeting with the team or a coaching session with the team, you can use the following action items format. What should be done? For instance, this was done for the team members who would like to set up after tests on their project, after testing on their project. But for your team members, for instance, if we are exploring this example about roles and responsibilities, so what exactly should be done? Again, some one-to-one meeting should be created with the project manager. Some workshops should be provided to the teams about roles and responsibilities. Some discussions should be organized. Who is going to do this? And when it is going to happen? And how you're going to check that it is happened? Maybe some meetings of the minutes will be written, or maybe some people will start doing some activities in Jira, like task assignment. Maybe you will get like new flow of tasks assignment in Jira. So what should be done, who is going to do this, by what date it should be done, and how you're going to check that it is going to happen. That is all about teams goal setting, and we're going to the next topic, to the next learning objective for this webinar, and it is motivation and energy, how to motivate and how to energize your team. First of all, again, if you would like to motivate and energize someone, make sure that you have enough energy by yourself. Make sure that you yourself is motivated and energized, because otherwise it will be really strange when you're trying to motivate people while you are not motivated yourself on your project, and people will feel that you are insincere in your intentions. It can be strange, but we are, as human beings, are very easily motivated by tasks which we understand, and become demotivated of tasks that we don't understand. For instance, we do on trainings the following exercise. We ask someone to be a manager for a group of people. The manager is given instruction by a trainer. For instance, I'm asking the manager to come to his team and to ask them to draw a picture, like a house, a sun, a tree, like very simple images, to draw it on a flip chart. But I ask manager to provide very direct instructions and don't provide vision on the whole picture. I ask a manager just tell the team, please draw a line here, please draw a circle here, just without providing the big picture, just very small instructions about small elements of this image. And it is very difficult for a manager and for the team especially to draw a picture in such a way. When a manager starts communicating to 10 people where they should draw exact lines, where should they draw exact circles, it is very time consuming and effort consuming for the manager and for the team. And there is the opposite part of this exercise. When manager is coming to the team and saying, okay guys, we need just to draw a tree, a house and a sun on this paper, on this flip chart. So I will provide you exactly how to do it. I mean, maybe some details, but you get the general picture. So everybody knows how to draw a house, a sun and a tree, but we can do it in different ways. So we can only adjust our expectations, which which tree we would like to have, what house we would like to have, where the sun should be located. But it is easier for the team members to understand what you would like from them if you define them the bigger context, if you provide them more information about why this task is necessary, what is the idea behind this particular small task, what will be the bigger picture. What is also energizing and motivating for your team is positive transactions between your team members. There was a scientist, a researcher, Marcel Lasada, and he identified the following coefficient, that if you have at least 3 positive transactions to 1 negative transaction within your team, your performance, he was investigated team performance, remains the same. What is meant by positive and negative transactions? Positive transaction is just saying thank you to someone, or providing bonus to someone, or just appreciating someone's help. So you are just saying good stuff to people, and you are showing it somehow. You're not only just feeling good to people, but you're showing your good attitude to people. It is positive transaction. And negative transaction is like being sarcastic about someone, criticizing someone, just doing something that is unpleasantful for your team members. It is negative transactions. In order your team become high performance team, you should increase the number of positive transactions comparing to the number of negative transactions. So if you at least follow this rule, like 3 positive transactions to 1 negative transaction, it is good and your team performance will remain the same. If you have 1 negative transaction to 1 positive transaction, your performance starts decreasing. I'm usually providing this Lasada line or Lasada coefficient information on trainings. And one guy in Luxoft, he told me that they tried it on practice. They actually tried to use it on practice within their team, and they have very good impact. They truly improved their high performance and became one of the best team in the company. When the clients were coming to their company, this team was shown to them like a really like dream team. They tried to be positive to people, to the team, try to be open, try to trust each other, and try to increase these positive transactions. They were doing it for several months, and they achieved the better performance that they had before. But it was not a management decision or company decision. It was like their own experiment. They would like to try to see what will happen if they change the communication processes between themselves and increase this positivity in their team. So again, it's up to you. Here is just information and just a number of instruments and techniques for coaching, and you can try to use it and see what you will get. Because while you are thinking about it, nothing is happening. I mean, something is happening in your head, you have new thoughts, but nothing is happening in reality around you. But when you try something, you can fail, but actually you can learn in this way. You can think that probably this Lasada coefficient will not work for your team. Or maybe you can get like positive result as that team that I described you had. You probably don't need to use all of these techniques. Just try to use it one by one, using smart format, defining what you wish to get, which steps you're going to do in order to get it, during which time you're going to try, for instance, this Lasada coefficient exercise with your team members. And again, you should also discuss it with your team members. In coaching, we have full transparency. We don't manipulate people. We don't do something hidden from the people. We explain them why we're going to do this, what we're going to achieve, like an experiment, what are our expected results, what results we would like to have, and why we're going to do this or that. If people agrees, then you can follow with it. Coaching is not about manipulations. How to calculate positive and negative transactions? I recommend you to sit down together with your team for 1 hour and make a list first of all, personally, what behavior each of your team members is appreciated from anybody else in the team. So maybe it is answering to questions or not speaking loudly to the phone in an open space. So make a list on individual level which behavior is appreciated and which behavior is not appreciated within your team, and then just merge all these lists to identify what is positive for your team and what is negative for your team. So it is individual for the team. The next instrument that can help you to work with the energy and to make it clear for yourself and for your team what brings you energy and what takes you energy. The first instrument is energy calendar. You can identify um, during the iteration or during the sprint which days from your team perspective were more positive than other days. Like green is positive, negative is red, and yellow is neutral. And after this, on retrospective, you can discuss why the first day of sprint was positive, but the second was negative. Maybe you will have more negative days than positive. So where your energy is lost, where your energy is moving. So this is energy calendar instrument is the radar of your energy, and when it is filled in, you should investigate why it is happening. You can do it personally again on your personal use energy calendar, and you can also do it on a team level. Use a Nika calendar. I'm going to show it to you. So here it is. Nika calendar is a calendar for team members mood. Here you can not investigate the whole team mood by member. And for instance, on retrospective, you can ask why Anne is so unhappy on the first days of the sprint. What was happening here? Probably requirements were not ready, and Anne was trying to get the requirements from all the stakeholders and is a product owner. But all the rest were more or less happy because they have very little job to do, very little work to do. But at the end of the sprint or at the end of the week, Mary became unhappy, probably because some tasks were developed during the whole week and provided to Mary to QA engineer very late in the sprint, and Mary need to stay late on Thursday on Friday to complete QA tests on it. So again, it's a radar of team mood of team energy, and it can be done on this team level or in individual level using energy calendar. There is also instrument box of energy. You can also create such box and discuss it with your team. What thoughts and what is inside you? It's also can be used on an individual level. First of all, you can try it how it can work on an individual level. What thoughts make you feel unhappy and what thoughts make you feel more happier? What is inside you that is going inside your mental internal processes makes you feel happier, and what is unhappier thoughts? And what is outside? It means what relations between team members, what events that happening during workday make your team or yourself feel happier, and what is making you unhappier. It is again the visualization of something that takes your energy down or brings your energy up. And you can again discuss it with the team first when it is filled in. You can make like two boxes on the project. On one box, people are putting stickers with what makes them unhappy on the project, and on the other box what makes them happy on the project. And afterwards, when you created these two boxes, you can discuss it on retrospective and use these boxes for Lasada coefficient creation. Again, it will be like merging of two techniques, like box of energy and Lasada coefficient. First, you identified what makes you happy and unhappy, and then you think about how to rise up the positive transactions. Or you can use it for yourself about thinking about your thoughts. What mental patterns, what mental thinking patterns make you feel happier and unhappier? Even if you're identifying it, when it becomes more obvious to you, it can help you to keep the energy on a good level, to keep the energy on a high level. Because if we are unconscious about something, it can take on our energy very quickly. And again, as I said, you can combine the techniques and use it all together. And the main idea is to use the techniques. If you are not using it, you will not know what result you will have afterwards. What can I also suggest for your team to have a good efficiency level and good creativity thinking is to be in flow state. Again, you can check it on yourself, and then you can suggest for your team members to start practicing it. One more question about the energy calendar and Nika calendar. How to remember what happened days ago? Good question. So you should fill this calendar or Nika calendar that I showed to you recently on daily basis. For instance, each morning you're identifying it. It is not filled in afterwards, after the months or the sprint. It is filled on daily basis, day by day. And afterwards you identify it on retrospectives, or you can also make notes here why it is green here, so why I feel happy on day one, why I'm not happy on day two. So just short remarks that you will be able to remind after the month or the sprint. I recommend you to use this calendar not for the periods that are not more than 1 month. Maybe you should try it first on 1 week or 2 weeks. Again, it's individual. So coming back to one more technique that can help you to stay high productive at work, you should try to be as long as you can in a flow state. It means what flow state means. It means that you understand why you're doing what. Goals is clear for you and for your team members. You have clear priorities within your goals. If you have several tasks or your team have several tasks, they know what to do, because sometimes management assigning several tasks to a person and tell them, okay, do just multitasking. Multitasking is proved to be not efficient. Multitasking is taking your energy down, actually. So make sure that your team members and you yourself know your priorities within a day, within a week, within 2 weeks, within 2 months. So during some period of time. In order to go into flow state, the complexity of the task you are doing should be at least 4% higher than the level of your mastery. So simply it means that the task that you are defining for your team should be a bit higher than their mastery, than their skills level. You should have also focused on task state of mind. It means you don't do any multitasking. You're focused on one task per one period of time. Actually, that is why we have these sprints in Scrum. During the sprint, we are focused only as a team, only on a sprint backlog, not the whole tasks of the project, which is product backlog. We are focusing on sprint tasks. And during each daily stand-up, daily Scrum meeting, we are focusing only on the tasks relevant for the current day. It is also help us to stay focused and to become highly effective. In order, if it is difficult for you, for instance, personally, to come to flow state, try to do 3 simple tasks. For instance, you have some implementation task that you don't know how to start. You just don't want to start in, or you have some email that you don't want to start answering to. There is something that is distracting you all the time from doing this task. Define 3 simple tasks before you start this big task. It can be like watering some flowers, like putting water into some flowers, just making papers in order on your table, and maybe making some short call to your colleague, like 3-minute call about asking some details of some task. So there should be some 3 very simple tasks to shake you up a bit. but you should define time. For instance, you're watering your flowers for 1 minute, you're putting your papers on table in order for 3 minutes, and you're making a call to a friend of you or your colleague for 3 minutes. This helps you to structurize your time and helps you to start being focused. And in such a way, you probably will be able to stay focused on a longer time because you're making these preparations. You can also, together with your team members, to practice hours of silence. It is the hours during which you agree to have no noise, no questions, no calls, nothing else that distracts anybody else. It can be difficult to do in an open space, I know it, but you can at least to make these hours of silence within your area of open space and see how it will affect or not affect your productivity. For instance, you can say that during from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, we have hours of silence. We all agree on it, and it helps us to stay focused, to come into flow state. I personally use this Pomodoro technique. It also helps me to stay focused. When I work on some task only for 20 minutes and I know exactly which I will get after this 20-minute work. For instance, I need to prepare a new training or to restructure an old training. I'm doing it quite lots of time. But definitely it is not a task for 20 minutes. So what I do, I'm taking just one exercise during this training and saying to myself, during next 20 minutes, I am going to review this exercise and to think about its improvement. So after 20 minutes, I will have the completely made exercise for this learning objective of the training. When 20 minutes is passed, I have 3-4 minutes break. I do anything I like, just answering emails, making any calls, just looking through Facebook, anything. Just 3-4 minutes, it's just a rest. And then again, a new working cycle is starting of 20 minutes, and I have a clear goal for these 20 minutes. You can do it together with your task during meetings, for instance. During 20 minutes, you are discussing one requirement for your project and defining as much details about it as you can. Then you have 3-4 minutes just for laughing, for being ironic to one another, to making some jokes, maybe to read your phone. And then again, you have 20 minutes and focusing exactly on the task during this meeting. There is a questions. I wonder if any Scrum team in Luxoft have Box of Energy on the project. Have you seen it? I've seen several times Box of Wishes is like what people wish to have on the projects, and actually there were also not only physical stuff. People can wish something to happen like clear requirements, or manager is not coming in the middle of the sprint and changing priorities or something like this. So I didn't see Box of Energy, but for myself I did this technique. What I usually trying to make aware what thinking patterns are taking my energy down, because when you come to this thinking pattern you can't stop. It's like thinking about some situation that already passed, but you continue to think about it, how it can be improved in the past, while in the past it is not possible to improve anything. So I did this for myself, Box of Energy, and I saw Box of Wishes in Luxoft. Can one Scrum team works by few different projects at the same time? Yes, it is possible in Scrum in such a way. If you know your priorities, one Scrum team can work on several products, not on one at the same time, but for instance, for one sprint, you take 2 or 3 tasks from one product, and during the same sprint, you can take 1 or 3 tasks from the other product if you really have these priorities and it is communicated to you by your product owner. So it is possible. Also, in order to be highly motivated and energized, you need to have sleep. There are lots of researchers how sleep reduction is influencing your cognitive functions. It is said in one of the researches I have found out that -1 hour of your habitual sleep, for instance, if you need 8 hours, if you slept only for 7 hours, you have 30% less of your cognitive functions. Cognitive functions is your memory, is your reaction, is your time of how you react, how quickly you react to something happening, how you can memorize anything. So how you can stay attentive during some period of time, focused. So sleep is essential. You can't be effective without having enough sleep for yourself. It is a myth that you can work 24 hours and stay effective. It's better probably to have just some rest and then continue to work. And again, if you have insomnia, it should be treated. And if you know your team members' peculiarities, I mean, which of your team members are more productive and more creative during the morning time, which of them are more productive during the evening time. For instance, in one of our teams, we moved the daily stand-up meeting from the morning to the later time, to the 4 o'clock time, because for some team members it's hard to come at work at 10 o'clock and to have it like at 10 o'clock and they were late. So you can move the daily stand up to a later time during the day and discuss again what you did during the current day, what you're going to do during the rest part of the day, and what blockers you have. So there is no direct instruction in Scrum Guide on which part of the day you should have this Scrum. So make sure that your team members have enough rest and don't work all the time overtime during weekends, because it has very poor impact on productivity of your team. It's obvious probably stuff, but some people forget about it. That is all about the learning objectives that I had for current webinar. As for responsibility, it was on the previous webinar, and you can have a look at it. What I also have for you for now is a list of recommendations to read and to watch. There is some of them are in Russian, and I highly recommend you, if you're Russian speaking, to watch this webinar by Philippe Guzenyuk. It is about seven sources of energy at work. It is really perfect webinar. It takes you like nearly 2 hours to watch it and to identify your personal areas of energy at work. What I also encourage you to read, it can be read by anybody, is The Happiness Advantage book by Sean Archer. There is a book in English and there is a translated book in Russian, 7 Principles of Positive Psychology that Fuels Success at Performance at Work. These books identify the thinking and behavior patterns that can help you to be more productive during your daily life and during your work. And it shows with experiments, with scientific proofs, how we can become more productive and how people can change their behavior and can change their thinking patterns to become more productive, and what blockers we have on our way, what challenges we have on our way, and how to overcome it. It's really a great book, at least if you're not going to read and look through all these sources of information, just focus on these two, like 7 Sources of Energy at Work by Philippe Guzenyuk in Russian, and this book in English and in Russian, The Happiness Advantage. If you feel that you don't have enough energy for the work that you had energy before, I recommend you to read about Plateau Effect by Bob Sullivan and Hugh Thompson, Getting Unstuck. It's when you come to some level of mastery, to some level of skills in something, and you don't know how to come higher. There is some tips and tricks how to overcome this plateau effect, because it really exists like a gravity. And about motivation of your team members, financial and non-financial motivation, read Dan Pink, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. There is a YouTube very short explanation about financial and non-financial motivation, but there is also a book by Dan Pink. You can find it. It is called Drive. In details here discussing the ideas that were described shortly in this YouTube movie. I would like also to invite you to my further trainings and webinars. Very soon I will conduct IC Agile Team Facilitation training in Kiev and in Moscow. It will happen on July. Here is the link for external people, non-Luxoft people, to register for it. For Luxoft people, you can find it in our Interchar system. Interchar system, you can find these trainings, Agile Team Facilitation. If you would like to apply for it, just use the system and apply. It will happen in July in Kiev and in Moscow. I am also inviting you to this overview of estimation in function points, how to estimate projects in function points. I will provide you a short overview, 1 hour overview of this new method. It's not new, but it probably will be new for you and for someone else. It is different from story points. It's completely different from story points. I'm also invited, it will be in English, this overview of estimation function points. I'm also inviting you to a webinar in Russian about IC Agile facilitation training. Will be more or less marketing webinar, but sometimes people are asking what is inside Agile team facilitation training. I would like to make sure that I will not waste my time going to this training. I would like to make sure it brings me some value. So I decided to create a webinar where I in details describing this training, what you're going to get, what you're going to do during this training. I will also have a webinar, 7 main qualities of Agile team member. Who is Agile team member? What qualities this person should have? Actually, can you be Agile team members? Can your team become Agile? So I think that these main qualities that will be described during this webinar are essential for Agile team members. Also, there's going to be a webinar in Russian about coaching and agile coaching. As I already said, I have a diploma in professional coaching and have a diploma in agile coaching. And for me, it is completely different areas, telling the truth. So I was very surprised when I came to agile coaching training and found out that agile coaching is much more wider than professional coaching, and it is different from the content. So actually, I would prefer to say like agile transformations and not agile coaching, because professional coaching is very different from agile coaching by its nature, by its process, by its content. That is all I had for you today. If you have any questions, please write it down. I will try to answer it during these 1 or 2 minutes, or I will provide you answers during the next week in email. There is a question about when will be the webinar of overview of estimation in function points. It will be at the end of May. At first it was scheduled for the first part of the May, but we have May holidays in many countries, so I decided to move it further, and it will happen at the end of May. If you go to these links to the webinars, you will see the exact days and times where they are scheduled to. Some questions, some thank yous coming. Could you provide us with the reference to find out more about getting a diploma in terms of agile coaching? There is Agile Institute by Michael Spade. If you look over internet and type in Google Agile Coaching Institute or IC Agile Coaching, you will find trainings. Some of the trainings are happening in Netherlands, in Delft city, and some of them are happening in United States. I think there is only these 2 locations that you can get this exact training in, because there is no other place. You can get probably some other trainings in some other places, but I wished to go only to this training because it provides you the very, like, from the founders, from the people who actually created agile coaching models. So I wish to take this training from them, and it takes place in Delft, in Netherlands, and in the United States by Agile Coaching Institute. Thank you very much for today's presentation. Thank you too. Thank you everybody. Have a good and productive work and see you soon on my next webinars. Goodbye.